Welcome to Brand You.
The ultimate personal branding podcast.
I'm Kaz Grant.
And I'm Toby Lee.
Together, we're here to help demystify personal branding
and to make it accessible and effective for everyone.
Follow along as we guide you through creating your own personal branding journeys.
So, let's get started.
Let's brand you. Hi everybody and welcome back to the Brand You podcast. So today we're going to be talking about personal branding for introverts. So how to stand out quietly. An exciting one.
Yeah. So would you, I feel like it's a silly question. Would you describe yourself as an introvert or an extrovert? What you
So you say that this is a silly question because in your head you're thinking extrovert, aren't you?
Yeah, going off your personal brand,
Yeah.
what people see of you online, the expectation is.
Yeah. But I'd say I'm a little bit in between.
Right.
Because I feel like I'm not as confident inside and I am a little bit more shyer than I come across.
Yeah, yeah.
So I wouldn't say I'm fully introverted, but I'm definitely not like the most extroverted either.
Right.
I think I'm somewhere in between, but it enables me that I'm not that far into it that I can boost it at times, I feel.
Interesting.
Yeah, because I never feel comfortable. Like even like now doing the podcast, it's not comfortable feeling doing the podcast or talking on video or talking up on stage, it's not comfortable. And after I do those things and step out, I need hermit time. I call it hermit time. Like I need time away from people as well. So there's elements of a bit of a mix.
Yeah.
What do you reckon for yourself?
I'd say it's an interesting one. I'd say I'm comfortable with what I share.
Yeah.
So, you know, I don't feel it's kind of introvert or extrovert conversation. It's probably more I'm confident with what I do talk about and what I decide to post online or put in the public area.
Yeah.
So I don't post too much personal stuff, but I will post about, you know, my dogs or personal achievements or anything like that. But I will post a lot about my work and photography and anything like that because I'm uber confident in what I do. So I think there's a kind of nice balance there. You know, I don't post too much about my personal life. I've never really been, even on my personal social media accounts, I don't really share or post anything on there. So it's more knowing what I need to do and what I need to be sharing. And I've learned to be confident in doing that.
Yeah. And that's an interesting way of looking at it as well, isn't it? Because I think there's almost the two worlds. There's like, are you introvert or extrovert online and maybe in person?
Yeah.
And again, do they sort of align? Because I'm quite comfortable with putting stuff online now, but I don't feel like sometimes that's real life. So it's like I'd be more scared saying it or doing that in person, face to face with another human. So I feel like that's the introverted side. But actually online, I feel less nervous about doing that, which is weird, isn't it? Because lots of people, it's the other way. It's like online's really scary, but in person they could maybe talk about that.
That is really interesting because you've got more strangers following you online than the people you choose to tell these things in person. So the fact that you're kind of like have a mental gauge as to what you do share and don't share is really interesting. Because I'd say my impression of you being an extrovert online comes from the variety of topics that you post about. Some of them will be very personal, or opinions or you know how you feel about things, all the way through to work related, here's some advice. So there's a real cross section.
Yeah. It's so interesting, isn't it, when we look at it? Maybe as well. So when I was thinking about this episode and thinking, like my head was just going crazy, like we do the night before.
Yeah.
We're like, what are we recording tomorrow? Like your head starts thinking of all these ideas as you're trying to go to sleep. I was there and I was thinking, really thinking like, what am I? Am I an introvert? Am I an extrovert? And it was a bit confusing me. And I was thinking, actually, are there really, and this is just my thoughts and opinions, it's not fact or there's no science behind this or anything, but are there really introverts and extroverts? Or is this sort of almost a label we've put on things? So it used to be you're just shy or you're not shy. Is it a label we put on things? And then with labels, the danger there is there are stories that we take on and then we take on that role and that that kind of that character, if you like. So sometimes I think there's maybe some people that would watch this, listen to this and think, I'm extroverted, that's me. Are you really that extroverted?
Yeah.
Or is it that you've not broken free from your comfort zone that much and you've not done some of the more scary things in life to be a bit more comfortable with that? So it's super interesting when I think of it like that, isn't it? And I want to almost like challenge our audience as well to think about some of these things when it comes to themselves. Are they living the story that they've told themselves, or are they actually introverted and they cannot change it and that's just what they're stuck with forever?
There's also comparisons, isn't there? You know, we as humans, we compare ourselves to others. And if you're following influencers that are very extroverted or do come across extremely confident, it's easy to have that as a marker, isn't it? And go, well, I'm not nowhere near that. I don't want to be like that. Or, you know, couldn't see myself being that confident and open in a public area. So I'm therefore the other way. I do. It probably is a bit of a spectrum, isn't it? And I guess kind of like this is where content pillars, and we're going to go on to talk about what content you can be creating if you feel you're in that introverted area. You know, coming back to your content pillars is probably how, when I kind of loosely explained my perspective of how I come across, is that there are certain things that I use my personal branding, social media channels to share about, or like to talk about at networking events, things that I kind of know might be personal to me, but tend to trigger interesting conversation as well. You know, dogs are always a good one. If you say, I will go home and walk with dogs. Oh, what dogs have you got? Instantly we're in and we're talking about that, and who knows where that conversation then leads. You know, if you have those little, well, not little, but those content pillars, I suppose, aren't they? It comes back to that, of things that you like to talk about, you feel comfortable talking about, and things that over time of trial and error, you know, are going to trigger a back and forth response conversation. Suddenly that becomes easy, whether it's in person or online, to get those communications going, rather than walking into a room and going, oh, I don't really know what to start talking about. Do I start talking about my services? Do I start talking about, you know, ask someone about their day? But what if they just say, yeah, good, thanks, and then that's the conversation killed? You know, it's trying to set everything up for success and appearing confident in those areas, I suppose.
Depending on where you are on the levels of it as well. And that's the thing, isn't it? I think sometimes we're so scared of going into those new environments, speaking to new people, that again, you can shrink away and hide in the corner and just your mind starts going into swallow me up floor. I've got nothing to talk about. Why are we here? I've got nothing valuable to share, blah, blah, blah. Like your mind goes into all these things. Again, it's like trying to get control on that. And like you say, have those things that even if you are more nervous, if you are more introverted, if you are shyer, you can go somewhere, you maybe can see someone that you know. So that's your initial breakthrough into that room. Like, I'll go to the person I know. Not ideal in a networking space, you want to mix with lots of people. But first, for me, that's what I need to do. I'll go to that person I know. Right, I'm starting to feel a bit more calmer, a bit more collected. I can think about then, oh yeah, dog conversation. Dogs are a good one. I'll ask someone about that. So it's, it's setting yourself up for success wherever on the scale you are.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there's no right or wrong with this, is there? So like, we obviously want to appear as friends of the listeners and guides, as it were, and we're certainly not saying if you're introverted or, you know, would consider yourself introverted, that therefore you've got to approach things this way. We'll always be encouraging to try and push you a little bit further and to stretch that and maybe consider other ways of communicating with people. But at the same time, if you are introverted, there's so many great ways that you can kind of approach content, approach meeting people, and you don't have to be in the limelight or on all channels at once. It's not like just because other people are getting success that way doesn't mean it has to work for you. And I can think of quite a few, you know, great brands and or small businesses locally here that are so good at doing that with the content they share. It's meaningful, and very rarely do you see a face. You know, and one of the things we've advised on this podcast so far in the first two series is got to be seen, got to get your face out there, break down those barriers. But if you're doing it just here and there, that's also sometimes enough if that aligns with your brand, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's figuring out where on the kind of scale you are, and then it's looking at where on the scale you are, what are your strengths in that thing. And like you said, we're not telling anybody what to do or what not to do at all on this podcast. All we do is hopefully spark ideas, different ways of thinking about something or looking at something, so that people do something different, try something different, get out their own way, break through that comfort zone. So find out on the scale where you are, and then look at it and think, right, what can I do based off of my levels of introvertedness or extrovertedness? If you're an extrovert, crack on. Off you go. And actually that will also have its strengths and weaknesses, because yes, you're an extrovert and you can be on everything, doing everything, shouting about everything. But again, there's going to be elements of are you too much for your ideal audience? Do you have to tone it down a little bit depending on who you're speaking to? If you go on to every single platform because you're excited, you're an extrovert, you want to be on everything everywhere, is that going to burn you out? And actually, do you need to, again, rein it in a little bit? So there's strengths and weaknesses for both, isn't there? And it's looking at how you can use yours as your superpowers and how you can make it so that even as an introvert, you are speaking to the right people for you in the right way for you, and the right platforms, and through the right content, isn't it? And I think we'll dive into some of that maybe now, won't we? So I think maybe when we're talking about some of the superpowers, so when we're just specifically looking at more introverted people, some of the superpowers I think that could enable them to have really great personal brands is that consistency piece and their presence and that kind of friendly, approachable persona about them. They're never going to be too much for anyone. They might just be just right for people. And then also they're going to have a bit more clarity, because you're not going to be showing up online, going crazy, being everywhere, doing it all the things. If you're an introvert, you're going to be nervous to do too much. So you're going to really get great at knowing what's the right things for you to do and doing them really well. So I think that's really powerful, to be an introvert and look at those things that you've got that will make you a really great person and personal brand.
Yeah, it's kind of taking that less is more approach, isn't it? And if the clarity is really interesting to me, because if you're really clear on what you're posting and why you're posting, you don't actually have to post that frequently. And again, we talk a lot about posting, and it's not just that. It's your whole personal brand on a whole. But the content is the bit most people worry about, or how their first impression is. So we tend to talk about content a lot, but it's exactly the same for extroverts, that whilst we may see people that every time we open our news feed on LinkedIn or Instagram, there's another video from them, they're talking to camera, they're telling us a story, and that happens again and again and again. It's very easy to be confident extroverted, but also lose the purpose as to why you're posting. Why are you telling these stories? Why are you trying to connect with your audience in this way? And as soon as that happens, you do start turning people away from your content, and they might mute you or stop following or just scroll on because they've already got an idea of the colours that you're sharing. So it can be a real benefit to those that don't post that regularly to go, you know what, when I do, I'm going to make sure it's really valuable, that it's hitting my target audience, that it aligns with me and who I am and what I'm about, and do things your way. It's a real encouragement to do that, isn't it?
This is why we are so passionate about personal branding in a way, isn't it? Because you get to be you. You get to be the version of you that you want to be. You get to do things the way that you want to do things. We can't just say with personal branding, this is the ultimate. Everyone needs to do this, because every single human on this planet is slightly different. And that's what makes them stand out and unique, and what makes them really special, and what makes us so interested to learn more about them. And I think that when you're introverted and you do, like you say, you've got that clarity, you're putting out that really great content. I want to soak that up, because like you say, you've got something really valuable to share there. And I know that if I know the person as well and I know they're introverted, there's almost like a a part of me that wants to know even more what they're sharing, because I do think it's taken them a lot to get on to do this, to do that. And kudos to doing that. So it almost draws me in a bit more.
Yeah.
Almost like, wow, this is going to be good. If they're on here right now, this is going to be good.
Yeah,
I want to learn this. I want to soak up this. I want to be in their presence. And again, it's nice for me to have a bit of a mix on my social media, but it's nice for me sometimes to listen to some calmer, more grounded people.
Yeah.
I don't know, again, there's so much noise out there, so much busyness, there's so much like, you need to 10x this and you need to 20x that and you need to make millions and go viral and rah, 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 and you've got all these big, bold energies out there.
That give us some of your algorithm.
Yeah, what am I following? Like, I
It's
need
all
more
powerhouses and
I need more introverts
yourself
on my
up,
feed. Yeah. But then I think sometimes there's someone that I'm following at the moment that I think about when I think introvert, and I don't know this person well enough to know if they are or aren't.
Yeah.
But again, it's just how they kind of come across. They seem a bit more introverted. It's almost like I have a little mini social media holiday when I dive into their videos, and I see that I instantly feel calmer and more grounded, and I soak up what they're saying in a really lovely, relaxing way, and I need that side of things too.
Yeah.
So I think, again, it's owning that side of yourself if you are more like that, and knowing that that's a great gift to be able to give people.
Yeah. So with that example, what specifically are they doing in their content that is giving you that? Because to create that kind of atmosphere instantly, and you now know that when you scroll through and you see that account that you're going to feel a certain way. That's really powerful, whatever it is they've generated there. So what kind of things are they playing on?
It's so simple. They're not like, curating this incredible personal brand that's like crazy and like curating everything. It is them with a plain backdrop. They're not, dressed in any particular way that like is crazy or outlandish or anything like that. They are just like a calm person, but they're sharing a lot on video, which is great because, again, if they are really introverted, that must be quite a thing for them to be doing. So they're stepping out of their comfort zone to do that. They're very softly spoken. They're positioning on the camera. They're not like, stood at the camera telling us something either. They're sat down.
Nice.
And it's like you almost like you're having a chat with them on your sofa. It's great, that kind of thing. And again, that probably makes them feel more comfortable doing a video, because if they're in a relaxed environment, they'll feel more relaxed.
Yeah.
But then it makes me as the viewer feel more relaxed as well. And I think, again, there's power in feeling like you're just having a chat with someone.
Yeah.
It's really nice.
Yeah, it's nice. It's doing things on your own terms, isn't it, almost? It's kind of like, this is what I feel comfortable doing.
Yeah.
And I imagine when you first sort of do that kind of thing, it probably is quite an exposing feeling to do if you are just creating content like that is very vulnerable and open.
Yeah.
But I imagine your confidence grows massively with
Yeah.
doing more of it.
Yeah, really brave of them to do that and to get out there and if again they are introverted to show up like that.
Yeah.
But also I want them to know, and I want others who are feeling introverted to know that is powerful.
Yeah, absolutely.
That has a place. It's powerful. They're giving so much just by doing that. So I think sometimes, again, if you're more introverted, it's knowing that you are enough and you have that place and you are valuable too, and what you've got to share is valuable in the way that you're sharing it. And I just want to let our audience know that if that is how you need to come across and want to come across, and that's what you're comfortable with, they're brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant. It's going to be received in such a great way.
Yeah.
And again, I feel like, am I their ideal audience? I probably am their ideal audience. So it's interesting. We're looking at ideal audience and we're thinking about introverts and extroverts and different spaces on that spectrum. Like your ideal audience might be an extrovert, but you're an introvert and stuff like that. So it's like really interesting, isn't it, to know that even if you're speaking to someone that's more extroverted, but you're doing it in your introverted way, it's still something nice for them.
Yeah, absolutely.
And almost it stands out because, like you say, if I'm coming across quite introverted and extroverted. And I am following all these extroverted people because, again, I want to be more confident in all the things. You're going to stand out more being that introverted way, and you're going to give them that space to breathe and think and calm their nervous system down a bit.
Yeah.
Oh, it's lovely.
Yeah.
Like a little holiday, a little social media holiday.
That's nice.
Yeah.
I had a great client yesterday, and I always review photos as we go through the session. And coming in with what I knew of the client at the start of the session is that he's certainly more introverted than extroverted, but understood that going on this personal branding journey and to sort of influence the best start to his new business he's starting, and he wants to be the face of that. We've got to go through his process of having the photos, being more at the forefront. And what was interesting was in the photo shoot, he became instantly playful and was trying all sorts of things. It was fantastic. We got a real great range of stuff. And then going through the photos at the end, I sort of asked him, where do you think you sit in terms of how do your clients perceive you? Like, are you more introverted or extroverted? Because actually some of these photos really offer a different playful side, which is a great way to introduce you as a first impression. We also now need to make sure that we're not giving them something
That you're not.
that they're going to expect you to be more larger than life than you are when they actually meet you. It's such a fine line, isn't it? And that sort of taps into, there are some people I know that are extremely confident at videos and things online, and actually in person you get them into a social environment and they're a little bit more reserved, a little bit more thinking about what it is they're sharing and how they're coming across. And it's trying to find that balance, isn't it? There's nothing wrong with being minimalist online if that represents kind of how you come across in person as well. Just how these larger than life people online are quite big characters in person as well.
Yeah, you've almost got to back it up.
Yeah.
Like I say, so I said at the beginning that I was probably a bit more introverted than I come across.
Yeah.
But I can also enter a room and I will be that character again.
Sure.
And so it's not fake. It's not like, it's just how I am in person. But then I do need rest time after that. So it's like just understanding again how it works for you, isn't it? And I think that's the thing. It's bringing online again with in person and making it aligned. So again, if you are soft and that calming character online and you're owning it and that's your personal brand and that's what you're putting out there, don't then go into the room and be like, hey, Bob.
Yeah.
Because again, it's like, whoa, hold on. Like,
Where do you come from?
Yeah, it's kind of matching, again, everything that you're putting out there and who you are, so that reputation is spread across all of it. I don't think any introverts will probably do that. They're much more likely to go into a room a bit more softly and do that. So I don't think we've got to worry about that. But definitely with the extroverts then, and we might have to do a separate extrovert episode on this, but
That'd be good to do.
Definitely with the extroverts, you might need to be careful how much more extroverted you're putting yourself out online. Or one way that I think lots of people are really good at doing this through their personal brands is they come across quite extroverted because, again, they're sharing a lot online, they're putting themselves out there, there's lots of photos of them. So to an external person, you see them and you think they are extroverted, but within their content, and I do this sometimes too, like when they're talking about then going to deliver a presentation in person and stuff, they're talking about how nervous they are, how it is outside the comfort zone. So yes, they are extroverted to a certain extent, but again, they're not like this larger than life character that's just bulletproof. They have also got nerves and they are scared and it is outside their comfort zone, but they're telling their audience that as well.
Yeah.
So again, there's ways of doing it that maybe not just in the imagery or in the videos, but you're telling people like, well, this is outside my comfort zone. And again, I kind of resonate with lots of those people because for me, I guess that's where I see myself sitting as well. I can go out and do that stuff. I'm not that shy that I can't, but I'm still bricking it a bit at times and there's still nerves there, but I'm going to show my audience that because again, I want them to know the reality behind everything. And again, I probably do overshare, especially on my Instagram and my stories, but then I like to give people that reality of stuff yesterday wasn't the best of days. I'd got some bad news and stuff. And it's like, I want to share that side of things too, because you don't want to be that extroverted, perfect character on a pedestal that nobody can be like. We're all humans and everyone can be like as good as they want to be. There's nobody better than anybody else, introverted or extroverted, anywhere in between. We've all got value. We've all got great things to share. We've all got strengths. We've all got weaknesses. And it's just about finding what's great for us individually, isn't it? And getting that across.
Yeah, spot on. So for people that might consider themselves introverted, what kind of content can we be producing that feels authentic and not, draining?
Yeah, I think again, you've got to go back and look at what they're comfortable with doing first of all. There's not one size fits all to the content that introverts can only create a reel.
Yeah.
But like, it's what are they comfortable with? Because I know there's a lot of people out there saying that if you're personal branding, you've got to be on video, you've got to be on video, you've got to be on video. If as an introvert, that's stopping you from putting yourself out there because you're like, not a chance on hell am I being on video. No. Yeah. Don't start with that. So it's like, what's comfortable for you? I think, again, getting on the ladder of it, starting to personally brand, building up the skills, building up a bit of confidence over time is probably going to be better. They're probably going to be a bit more slow burny than maybe the extroverts who would just step on, smash a bit of videos out and then that's it. But slow burn's okay as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
Again, it's better to go slow burn, create what you're comfortable creating, than go too far, put yourself off instantly and then never create ever again because it scared you too much and you want to retreat back into like your safe place.
Yeah.
So what can they create? So like posts, maybe. As an introvert, you don't want to share video and you don't want to share yourself talking, but maybe through a post, you can curate a post a bit better, can't you? So they can think about the words that they're using before it goes out. They can double check it. They're not going to say anything wrong because it's written, so that's fine. So share something like that at first.
Yeah.
I think videos are a good thing for them to do if they can. But again, it could be done in their own way that they feel comfortable. So if a video is really pulling on them and they think that they need to push a little bit to do that, but they're still a bit nervous of that, maybe thinking about what type of videos they could do. So, for example, could do, like you say, thinking about the environment in the video. So would they be more comfortable on a sofa, relaxed in an environment that they're used to? Would that be better? No script maybe, but maybe 3 bullet points that they could talk about, that they are comfortable with, that they know. Could it be that they do a podcast or a longer form video, but do it like we do? So it's more like we're having a chat with each other. It's not scary, is it, coming and doing this?
Conversational element. You soon forget that there's cameras there or that we're being recorded. Like that initial first few minutes can be a little bit
like what are we going to say?
and you're thinking about how you sit in and your gestures, but actually you do warm into it and it just becomes a conversation. They're a good way of representing yourself authentically, aren't they?
Yeah, exactly. As soon as that goes play and then we sit down and I look at you, we're just rolling. It's a conversation, like at ease straight away. And we know that we're pre-recording this. So again, we've got control over editing and things like that. So maybe don't go live straight away if you're an introvert, but maybe do the pre-recorded videos that you can edit, that you can make sure again is okay before they go out.
Yeah, sure.
But what I don't want introverts to do is get so caught up on video is the thing that they need to do, but they have to spend 5 years of their life creating 2 videos because they're that nervous, scared, want to be that perfect on it and stuff, and the editing takes age. Again, if it's going to take you too long to do that, revert back to posts. That might be quicker, might be easier, get it out, and then again in time revisit videos and think about that. The great thing about longer form videos and the conversation though as well is that, like, we record this, don't we? It's a conversation, so it's relatively like easy for us to do. We're not learning scripts. In fact, when we do have to say one-line scripts, we are awful. But when we're doing it just like this, it's great. But then we've got like half an hour of a podcast, which can get cut into little clips. We've got like 20, 25 clips that we can then share them throughout week, months, over time. That's a lot of content to have created and sound bites to have. So maybe for an introvert, it's not quite comfortable, but you're having that conversation and then you've got all that content from it.
Yeah.
So it might be better just to get it done, half an hour to film your podcast episode, and then you've got so much of it.
Yeah.
So again, you're not having to set up your camera again, think about it, do it another time, got all nervous again. It's just done.
I'm a big fan as well of B-roll, which is video content that isn't necessarily like talking to camera. It's not your main footage.
Yeah.
And some accounts, particularly on Instagram and TikTok, are really successful at, I'm trying to think of an example here, but say I want to represent myself editing or whatever it might be. I might set my phone up over there, filming me from a distance, the other side of the room, and I'm here doing my editing on my laptop, not looking at it, not paying attention to it, not interacting with it whatsoever. But that gives the visual content to kind of stop the scroll and to kind of pay attention to something different to look at as well. We kind of play into that calming environment as well if we put some sound or some music on it. I'm giving another kind of perspective of me, because you kind of feel like you're looking into someone's life, like you're kind of a fly on the wall.
Behind the scenes.
Yeah, and then you can accompany that with, either a voiceover where you can have 1,000 attempts at whatever message it is you want to say, or, text over it, or your caption, whatever it might be. There's lots of nice ways to kind of get creative with that, and I've seen some really good stuff.
Yeah. And it works on LinkedIn as well, if you're thinking about the professional platform. So, again, there's not many people doing that. So that then stands out on a professional platform like LinkedIn.
Yeah.
So again, it's not that you can't do it because it's LinkedIn, and that's not, do it because that'll stand out.
That's it, yeah.
And again, as long as it's got the right messaging that you want to get across on your video in text or whatever, it's great. And again, it's showing you've got you in the background of it. So again, it is that personal side of it, it's that human side of it. Yeah. So there's lots of ways around it, isn't there? Again, it's generating ideas for more introverted people and getting them thinking about ways that they could do it without having to go crazy and do all the worst stuff and then not doing it at all.
That's it,
Yeah. So for today's action step, I want you to think, where on the scale are you? Are you more introverted, or are you more extroverted, or are you somewhere kind of in the middle? And then I want you to think about, what are your strengths and weaknesses in that, based off of like your personal brand and getting yourself out there. Where are you on the scale? What strengths and weaknesses are for you? And then have a little look at that and think, how can you then step into the online world using your strengths and using less of your weaknesses? Just brainstorm, come up with some ideas. Again, get you thinking outside the box.
So that is actually a wrap on series 2 of the Branding Podcast. I didn't think we'd get this far, so it's really exciting. We've got some really exciting plans for series 3 and things to come in the future, but we would really love to hear your feedback. What are you enjoying? Which episodes have kind of resonated with you most? How is this podcast helping you on your personal branding journey? Because at the end of the day, it's all about you, what you can take from it and how you can progress your personal brand. And we can keep things steamrolling along that train track in the right direction for you.
So make sure to follow myself and Toby on social media. We're on all the platforms. And then also follow the Brand New Podcast group on LinkedIn. And that's the area where you can ask us any questions. If you've got any personal branding questions that you're just dying for us to let you know about, pop it in that group and then we can answer them in the following episodes when we come round to series 3.
So here's to branding you.